In this video, I want to talk about when to involve your team in decisions. Now, naturally, we've been talking about data. Eventually, you have to make some kind of decision with the data. And then you get to this other question of, do you make the decision yourself if you're an executive, if you're a leader, or do you involve your team in that decision? And that's what we'll be diving into today. Hi there, welcome back. My name is Ruben Ugarte. I am an expert in data and decisions, and I have helped companies take their data and use it to improve the quality of those decisions, whether it's to reduce costs, increase revenue, find more profit. And something comes up often when we start talking about decisions, especially when you start working with executives or you start thinking of really strategic decisions, which is, when do you involve your team? Do you want to get their input on everything? If not, how do you decide? Lucky for you, I created a bit of a matrix, right? I call it the LDMM, the Leadership Decision Making Matrix, and you'll see an image in front of you. But basically, it's a way to understand whether you should make a decision on your own or you should involve others. There's basically three things you can do with the decision. You can either make it yourself, just with what you have, your information. You can involve others, have some kind of consensus, and there's of course levels here, right? You might want to get the input of others, but you're going to make the final decision yourself. You might want to get a consensus, so you want to get everyone to vote and then take the one that is best supported by the group. And the third thing you can do with decision is delegate it. So you don't make it, you give it to someone else, and they get full ownership over that decision, which it might be or might not be what you would have decided. So within those three outcomes, how do you decide, right? How do you make sure which one to take? If you imagine those old pinball machines, right? Where you drop something on the top and then it goes in different spots until it ends up in a slot, right? And there's 5-10 different slots. In this case, we have 3 slots: yourself, group, or delegation. So how do we get there? And there's 4 factors that can get us there. The 4 factors are speed, conflict of interest, empowerment, and information. So speed is how quickly a decision is made. So naturally, if you make the decision yourself, this can be quite fast. You don't need anyone else, you're ready to make it. If you delegate a decision, on the other hand, this can be much slower. It doesn't have to be, significantly slower, but it will be slower. Now you have to give it to the person, that person will think about it, and then they'll make a decision on it. A group might be in between, might take longer, depending on how many people you involve. So when you look at decision, one of the first factors is, how quickly do you need to make this decision? Is this something, for example, we're in COVID-19, March 2020, and the decision needs to be made tomorrow as to whether you open up again, or whether you start something, or whether you send people home? Or are you talking about, strategy for the next year and you have time to think about it? So speed is the first factor. The second factor is conflict of interest. Naturally, there'll be some decisions where if you involve other people, there will be a conflict of interest. Perhaps you're thinking about reorganizing your team, which might mean that some people might change jobs, maybe go to other teams. You might be thinking about layoffs, for example. Again, we're back in 2020 and you might be thinking, do we cut salaries? Do we lay people off while we deal with this crisis? Involving people in this decision has an obvious conflict of interest. So when you think of a decision is a conflict of interest high? Does it involve personnel? The people you want their opinion are those personnel? Or are we talking about a marketing channel where there is no conflict of interest within your team? The third factor is empowerment. So there might be some decisions where you know the answer, you can do it quicker, but you also want to start to empower people. And empower is sort of a new concept or a new word that gets thrown a lot. It just simply means allowing other people to grow, make decisions, take ownership of their work. So this may be a perfect decision to empower others. This may be something that other people could do quite well. You can support them. It can be done in a group environment. So you want high empowerment, which means you want to give it to other people, less so yourself. And the fourth factor is information. So naturally, if you have let's say a strategic decision, and to make it, you need to have information about the industry, your position in the industry, and what the rest of the company is doing from a strategic perspective. That might be something that only you can make because you're the only one that has the information. For example, Netflix prides themselves on making the information widely available within the company. That is, anyone can look at the KPIs and metrics that Netflix tracks. They can actually look at the numbers that go out to Wall Street before they go out to Wall Street. And this is all public information for the most part. People on Netflix, really any level, have all the information they need to make a decision. Versus in other companies, there might be a significant amount of information that's only available at the executive level. So you cannot expect someone to take a decision, delegate something without having information. And you might discover that if you delegate it, but now you have to provide all this background of information, now it's even slower. So if you get back to a little machine, you have a little thing that's dropped into the slots. Now you have all the factors, right? How quick do you want to go? really quick, maybe yourself, or you're fine with waiting, you can delegate. How much empowerment do you want to do, right? How much conflict of interest there is in the decisions, so now you get to filter that out. And of course, how much information is available within yourself and other teams to make this decision. And based on these 4 factors, the little decision kind of bounces around and then lands somewhere. And this is of course something that as you internalize it, you can do much faster. You'll know, this is a fast decision, low information, low empowerment, I'll make it myself. Those kind of things. But you have a framework in which to think about. It's not this ambiguous, debatable thing that you're not sure how to approach. And that is all I have for today. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. There's buttons all around YouTube, you can do that. And there's a few links in the description that I want to point out to you, which you might find helpful. First is my weekly newsletter, The Growth Needle. It contains ideas such as this one, but they're, in a written format every week. I think you enjoyed that. Second, my first book, The Data Mirage, has been out now for a few months. You can buy it anywhere. You can buy books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Chapters. And third is my Twitter. This is where I post insights on a much more frequent basis. They're shorter, of course, because of the format. I also think you enjoy that. As always, there'll be a few videos that'll pop up here, recommended videos that you can watch that are similar to this one. Make sure to watch those. And until next time, talk soon.